Hello, I'm Frederick Douglass, and with us today we have some notable leaders of the abolitionist movement, Theodore Weld and Harriet Beecher Stowe. The abolitionist movement is a collective group of people who want to free the slaves and abolish slavery from the United States. Abolitionists are generally peaceful, but there are some like John Brown who believe that only violence will free the slaves and end slavery. The northern part of the United States was against slavery, while the southern half was for slavery because they relied on slave labor. Eventually, in 1865, the 13th Amendment was passed, which would abolish slavery in the United States. Harriet, would you like to tell us about yourself?
I was born on June 14, 1811, in Litchfield, Connecticut. My parents were Roxana Beecher and Reverend Lyman Beecher, and I was one of 11 children. I grew up with a strong Christian background. My sister Catherine founded Hartford Female Seminary. I was one of the few girls from my town to get a formal education. I started to teach at the age of 16 when I moved to Ohio. I began writing for the Western Monthly magazine at age 18. I then took a break from writing for 16 years and started to write again in 1843. I got married and had 7 children. But in 1849, my 18-month-old son, Charlie, died of cholera. This tragic event inspired me to write Uncle Tom's Cabin, which is also partially based on Theodore Weld's text. My book was ranked as second best-selling book of the 19th century, besides the Bible, and has had a profound effect on the abolitionist movement.
What exactly is Uncle Tom's Cabin, and how has it affected the abolitionist movement?
It is a novel that shows the stark reality of slavery in the 19th century. It tells about Uncle Tom, who was an African American, and the details of the horrible treatment and conditions that he endured as a slave. Although it is a work of fiction, it convinced many people to join the abolitionist cause because it gave slavery a voice. It made slavery more realistic to the Northerners and made them realize they could not ignore slavery because the book showed how awful it truly was.
Thank you, Harriet. Theodore, would you like to tell us about yourself?
I was born on November 23, 1803, in Hampton, Connecticut. I attended Phillips Academy but had to leave because of poor eyesight. I then attended Hamilton College, where Charles Finney encouraged me to join the abolitionist movement. I eventually became a lecturer and wrote American Slavery as It Is, A Testimony of 1,000 Witnesses, and many other books. I wrote these anonymously. I inspired Harriet here, and we both have influenced the anti-slavery movement enormously. Eventually, I was the head of a school which accepted all genders and races.
And how exactly did your literary work influence the abolitionist movement?
In my literary work, I used first-hand accounts of slavery and its horrors. This convinced many people to join the abolitionist movement to help stop slavery and save its victims.
Frederick, would you like to tell us about yourself?
I was once a slave, but managed to escape my master. While in slavery, my master's wife taught me the alphabet, and I went on to teach others. My master eventually sold me to Edward Covey, a slave breaker. While there, I had to endure psychological and physical abuse. Eventually, I stood up to him, and he never bothered me again. Then I escaped slavery and became the leader of the abolitionist movement. I became a successful speaker, and many listened to me because I gave slavery a voice and made it real by describing my experiences. I wrote a hugely successful biography, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave. The writing of my book attracted my former master's attention, and I fled to Great Britain, where eventually many people there purchased my freedom. I produced many abolitionist newspapers, became an advisor for Abraham Lincoln, and fought for constitutional amendments that guaranteed voting rights. I was the father of the civil rights movement and jump-started and helped the abolitionist and women's rights movement. Thank you both for coming out tonight.